Hi, Laura.
How are you? Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, no, thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I was very intrigued by the series, so I'm happy to discuss this with you. So I want to start by saying congratulations. I hear that you're slated to direct an episode of the show Good Girls, so congratulations
Thank you. I'm
for
very excited.
that. So was being a director always a dream for you?
Yeah, I think I was one of those bossy kids that was like, let's put on a show, and then I just tell everybody what to do. So I think in a way it was, very ingrained. But I was a theater major and all that stuff. But to be honest, I think I was intimidated by film and TV for a long time. And so I went into the acting side of things first, and I was directing theater. And I think that, I would go on set as an actor and not see that many women
Mhm.
directing. And it just seemed like so much gear and like so many things to learn. And I think that I was at fault for not pushing myself into that sphere at a younger age. And then everyone kept saying, like, why are you not directing? Like, you're a photographer, you're an actor, and you're a director, and you're doing all this theater. Like, you've got to just get into film and TV. Um, and it feels like all of these paths have kind of led exactly to this, but it took me a while to believe that it was something that I could do. And I just sort of put myself through film school by just doing my first short film. And you just got to just start. You just have to start. No one's gonna like hand you, a huge wad of cash and a camera. You just got to be like, I have a story to tell, and I'm gonna go make it. Um, so I beat myself up a little bit for not just believing I could do it earlier, because I do feel like it's who I've been all along.
At least you found it, like you pursued it. So here you are, and you're doing great things. So why did you want to be a part of this project and direct Milk Money?
Yeah. So when I first met with, sorry, my puppy is
No, it's
jumping
okay.
like, ah. Uh,
Oh,
if pandemic wasn't hard enough, just get yourself a puppy and a kitten on top of two small children, and it'll be real fun.
don't my kids want one so bad.
Like such a cliche. When I first met with the Singleton Foundation Million Stories, they were still in the development stage, and they were asking me, what kind of stories do you think people want to hear? What do you worry about personally, financially, or what are some of the things that you want to, what's the kind of content that you would want to see? And for me, having kids was the biggest lens shift as far as thinking about money, because I just went about thinking about money for myself, how to spend it, how to save it, how to earn it. But then all of a sudden, when you have kids, and I had a real launch into parenthood by having a 8-week early delivery, and so my kid was in the NICU, and we had insurance, thank God, but we were getting bills from the insurance for $500,000, and it was a real life interrupted thing, and I pulled myself out of all this work I had lined up that I thought was going to happen. And it's just like, whoa, like someone just racked the focus, and all of a sudden you see money so differently. And it doesn't stop, because the expenses of children don't stop. So it goes from maybe that first hospital bill to, diapers and food, to school, to childcare, to education, and just it keeps going and going and going. And so for me, I was like, well, let's talk about that shift. Let's talk about that, not just kids that have newborns, because like I said, it keeps evolving, but let's talk to parents about money. Let's talk to parents about how they're navigating the rising costs of education, how they're, the rising costs of raising children, childcare, the pressures, all those things, because it has changed. Things have gotten very expensive. And the world has changed. We don't just let our kids like roam free, like, and go play with the neighborhood kids anymore. Like, it's just not, I mean, maybe in some more rural places, but at least not here.
Not me.
I would be like terrified. And even I did that growing up. I would like meet the neighbor, and like we would go to the local park down the street, and now I'd be like calling Amber Alert, like, where's my kid? Kids need to have something at like all times. They're like in a class or watched by, if not you, someone you're paying to watch them. And so yeah, I wanted to talk about money through the portal of parenthood.
Awesome. So what are you hoping happens after people watch these episodes?
Um, it sounds cheesy, but I hope that people just feel seen. I hope it just kind of feels like, oh, yes, like I've been there. Like I feel like there's a friend in my corner. Now we're talking about it. And I hope that, people feel inspired. I think a lot of the stories have the, people that have like pulled themselves up from their bootstraps or, thought outside the box. And so it's not supposed to be a series that gives you a bunch of advice. There's a lot of influencers out there. I'm not trying to tell anybody, influence anybody. I wanted this to be a celebration of people not living underneath anybody's influence, but I do hope that people feel inspired that they can do it. So if they are feeling overwhelmed about financial things, especially in the pandemic, they can look at some of these living portraits and think, oh, cool, I'm a solo parent, and here's a story of a solo parent that's found all these really cool workarounds and is doing great, and they're being honest and real, and I'm going to check out a couple of these things.
Nice. So were you part of the process for picking these families? And if so, why these families?
Yeah, I mean, casting was a very collaborative process. So it was a mixed bag. We had a handful of different casting directors that sourced these families in different parts of the country. Some of them were people that I knew as a director that I had pitched to the foundation to take a look at. We had different topics we wanted to hit. So for the most part, we were, just trying to make sure that we were covering different things. So, finding a family that could talk about adoption, or finding a family that could talk about the cost of raising a higher needs kid that had special needs. And so we wanted to make sure that we were hitting some different markers. But then also, so much of it is just this like X factor. Like, do you want to sit with this family for 8 to 10 minutes? And sometimes people would have the most incredible story. Like, their son is actually their cousin and they adopted them after this car crash and all these things. And then you would do an interview with them and there just wasn't a spark. For whatever reason, it wasn't like translating on camera. So part of it was just that people that just, you want to just sit with and really get to know, because at the end of the day, these episodes are about these people. The financial topics are woven in a really organic way. But at the end of the day, you're going to walk away feeling like you really got to know about Amira or Elena or Ray and Joanna. And you got to make that personal connection in order for the information to resonate.
So speaking of Ray and Joanna, because one of my questions as well, will there be like a follow-up story on where they're at? Because I want to know if they ended up doing that nanny share program. Like, I feel like I need to know. I'm invested. So will there be like a follow-up?
Yeah, so Ray and Joanna are actually friends of mine. That's an example of a family that I had brought in. We are going to be doing, I believe, some follow-up interviews with the families to see where they're at now, especially in lieu of the pandemic. So I think it's coming down the pipe.
That's awesome. So did you learn anything about money or finances from working on this project? And if so, what?
I mean, I think the biggest thing I learned was how much I'm not doing, to be honest. Like, seeing the incredible smarts and hustle of so many of these families, I was like, I have not thought of that. And even like now in the pandemic, I keep thinking like, I still don't have life insurance. Like, I still don't have a living will. There's like, what is it going to take in order for me to just because the daily grind of parenthood is so intense. It's so like nonstop that like sometimes you just don't stop to do those big, important financial things to protect you and your family. And I think that like the biggest overarching theme that I walked away from was just that like time is money, but money is also time. So sometimes you make choices to earn more money to buy back time. So that might mean, taking a certain job or, getting a house near childcare or, in an area that you didn't initially plan on living, to just have more time with your children. I think that's every parent's struggle, is just trying to find that balance between earning money, but also having the time to not miss it.
Mhm.
To not have it just go by and be like, but I was working so hard and I didn't even experience it.
It's definitely a struggle. So what kind of conversations do you think parents should be having with their children about finances?
Yeah, I think that just starting to talk about money early on is key, and in a really real way. So like, I think a lot of parents, like, they'll go to the supermarket and the kid will grab a candy bar, at checkout pre-pandemic, and be like, what's this? And then the parent will go, I don't have any money. I don't have any money to pay for that, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, I think what I've learned is it's just better to be very real. I mean, kids are smart. Like, my kids know that I have a credit card, and the credit card is like this endless thing that can buy things, right? So it's not even about like the paper cash exchange anymore. And so it's hard because it might incite a temper tantrum, but I've learned that it's better to be just truthful and be like, we're not going to buy that right now. We will, and then, come up with whatever it is. Like, we're going to get one treat over the weekend and we'll do it then. But like, to just say like, yeah, I'm just not going to buy that right now. And to be honest, like, about where your money goes. My son's recently realized that we pay our part-time nanny, that she doesn't just come to play with him, that like goes towards her. And I think he was sad at first. I think that she wasn't just coming for the love of it to play with him. But I also think it's important to be honest that like things cost money, and that we work to pay for these things, and that things don't just exist. They're just not like there magically, that school costs money, that food costs money, that, when a babysitter comes and plays with you, that costs money. So, even if it takes like a touch of the magic off, I think you'll be saving yourself some pain later on when there are these like big realizations about it too late in the.
Was there a particular story or family that really touched you or that resonated with you more than the others?
I loved all the families for different reasons, and there's visually there's just like different elements of each episode that are just my favorite. But Anna and Brian, the episode in Yucca Valley, really, for someone that really stuck with me. And you know what it is? I think it's because when you're in documentary filmmaking, you set out to tell the story you think you're going to tell. But a good documentary filmmaker will be open-minded and loose to the story that wants to be told. And so I set out thinking we were going to tell a story basically about commuting, and about Brian's commitment as a dad, having this like 2-hour commute each way. So like 4 hours round trip for his kids. And that was a part of the story. But what came out when we were filming was, Anna had these multiple miscarriages, and her second daughter had this open heart surgery, and they thought they were going to lose her, and all these things. And that part of their story and part of them moving from Orange County to Yucca Valley was to give her more time with the children. And the story, I thought it was going to be one thing, but it was about so much more. And it was like I said, it was sort of about buying back time. They were both working and they were in this crazy hustle, and they were like in this city life, and then these life events, this loss happened to them, and they were like, wait, what really matters? And I just was very moved by their candid honesty about everything as we were filming. And I'm really grateful that they were able to open up about that loss, because I know that's something that so many women experience and they don't really talk about. And they're just such a beautiful family, and those kids are like magical unicorns that don't fuss or complain. I don't know what they've done so perfectly to raise them that way, but I was like, I want this parenting recipe, because their kids are angels. But I was very moved by their story and their love for each other, as well as cheesy as that sounds.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about this. Love the series. Can't wait to see more and hear some follow-up stories now that I'm invested.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.